Well, 2026 is coming closer all the time. Every time I just on my pad of paper, I write down the date. Like, oh, I'm getting ready to writing 2026. Alrighty, well, we're here. Rather than sit in silence, let's just start talking. So I don't know if all of us have been on the call together at the same time. So why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? I'm Kim Andrews. I've met each of you. I'm with the Chester County Community Foundation's America, Friends of America 250 celebration, and Paige is the a staff member from Chester County Community Foundation who keeps it all going in the background. Bob, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Bob Drake from the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, home of the Blob. And hello.
And Bobby, could you introduce yourself, please?
So I'm Bobby Riley. I am a resident of Schuylkill Township. I am working with the Historical Society of the Phoenixville area to hopefully get a special display next year. And I am working especially with Schuylkill Township and hopefully Charlestown Township and Phoenixville to get a community day set up.
Awesome. Thanks. And Sue, could you introduce yourself, please?
Audio. Oh, there we go. Yeah, hi, I'm Sue Gould. My husband and I are the committee chairs for the museum in Phoenixville, and working with Bobby, trying to figure out where we fit with America 250 and hopefully hear some great ideas here.
And then Jen, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Jen McMenamin. I'm actually representing Valley Forge National Historical Park. So I'm a retired Park Service employee that was hired back under our experienced worker program. So luckily I'm still able to work. So I'm trying to be the eyes and ears of the park right now with everything being shut down. So again, I am the liaison for our 50th anniversary in 2026 and the 250th anniversary.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for being here today. Well, first, I want to tell you about a couple things that the Community Foundation and America, Friends of America 250 have been working on. So I had talked about the watch parties. There's going to be more information uploaded to them. And looks like we're going to be hosting, the Community Foundation is going to host a virtual watch party. We're going to be setting the date for that in the next couple of days. If around the watch parties, a new wrinkle, which I don't know if I mentioned the last time, the watch parties, actually, let me just reintroduce it because now I'm using a bunch of shorthand things, which I always curse other people when they do. So the watch parties are to watch Ken Burns' American Revolution documentary, which is his 6-part series, 2 hours each over 6 nights, starting November 16th through November 21st. And so at first, the watch parties were conceived as things that could happen in the moment so that organizations, venues could hold a watch party. If they, for the first night, it would be Sunday, November 16th at 8 p.m. And to have an event in person or a virtual event where it's broadcast through a Zoom or another online venue, and that they would be happening in real time. Then the PBS station that is producing and releasing the American Revolution said that they would have screener reels. Screener reels are shorter reels that are going to be themed, and at first they were going to be available for mostly libraries. And in fact, the Kennett Library is hosting a screener reel presentation, I think November 3rd. And so it turns out now that the PBS station is going to have these screener reels based on themes that will be available for any other nonprofits. So we went from primarily, the main tool that we had at our disposal was these documentaries are going to be shown at 8 p.m., November 16th to the 21st. Maybe our organizations can host something at that time. And now we're realizing and working with PBS that the screener reels, which are 45 minutes to an hour, there's a summary screener reel about the entire American Revolution, and then there's going to be themed screener reels too. So for example, hey, Tamala, For example, there's going to be one on faith communities in the revolution, and there's a church that is interested in showing that. And I believe there's going to be a theme around African Americans in the revolution. And so those screener reels are going to be available for download and exhibition at any point in 2026. So those, the screening the American Revolution screener reels will be available at some shortly after the documentaries premiere, broadcast premiere will be available to nonprofits to throughout 2026. They're going to support it through 2026. So you could have a screening on a Saturday morning or on a Thursday afternoon. That information has just been coming in. I'm going to be updating our website that has that information with that this week. So there'll be more information there. And you can read, if you're interested in hearing more about that, you can reach out to me and I'll have that information for you. But that's the exciting news about the American Revolution. As it turns out, though, the Community Foundation, we plan on hosting a virtual online watch party on Wednesday, November 19th. And that is the Philadelphia campaign episode, and we're putting that together right now. So that's the big news about watch parties right now. For Dare to Declare, which I know, Bob, you're talking about having a Dare to Declare, a declaration reading at the Colonial, and I gosh knows it came straight out of Valley Forge. So they're happening I guess not as we speak, because we shut down.
Yeah. You need a code? Oh, sorry, guys.
So the declaration readings are happening forthwith at Valley Forge. And I think that at the Community Day, you guys have talked about that. There are info sessions about that. Community Foundation staff are running 2 info sessions on November 17th, Monday, November 17th at 4 p.m. to find out more information, and Friday, November 21st at noon. And then, of course, we have information about that too. Jen, the woman who knows more about this than I do.
No. I just want to also put it out there that we finalized, so with Emily Smith, who is a declaration expert. I know she's been working with Chester County. She's also working with Montgomery County. And Laritia Hawkins, she's a professor out of Lincoln University. We're going to host an in-person kind of presentation for those that are going to be houses of declaration, for specifically those presenting. How to talk, where to enunciate, what does this mean? And that will be, it's January 16th. And it's about 2 hours. We're gonna do a morning session and then an evening session. And then there'll be a follow-up refresher in March. We haven't finalized those dates. And I'll put all that information on your bulletin board.
Right.
Again, once I nail it down exactly, but right now that's based on everything that we know, it'll be January 16th.
And what day of the week is that?
Friday.
Is it Friday?
I think
Okay.
it's a Friday. And then we
And-
have a weather date for like the 20th or something. So again,
So-
I'll put,
So it's in person.
yes, absolutely in person at the park in our meeting room.
Well, that would be cool just to go to that. Oh,
Yes,
thanks,
I'll put-
Jen.
Yep.
That's awesome. So that's and then we have been talking about wish walls, which are a great way to either have a freestanding event to engage the community around the Declaration of Independence and America 250, or in parallel with the Declaration of Independence and the wish walls. It's an idea where you have Post-its, little pieces of paper, little cards that people can write on to give their wish for America. And we've done a couple of tests around Chester County. There was a library event. Angela Scully was there, and there's been and it's a national movement. It's Youth 250 is the organization that conceived of it and is promoting it. So there was some original concern about what are people going to write on these pieces of paper, because they're Post-its. People can either put them right on the wall, or you can have an intermediary staff member look at them. And from our experience, and then from the experience of this national organization, most of them are heartwarming, and very rarely does anybody use it for ill intent. I'll put it that way. And so it's been kind of like reaffirming, your belief in the goodness of human nature to see that people are writing these very heartfelt wishes, and some of them are, it represent, or they kind of reflect the difficult times that we're in, but it's there have been very few instances of anyone misusing them or writing something terrible or curse words on it. So obviously, if any organization hosts a wish wall, you want to keep your eyeballs on it. But it has proven to be so far much less of a risk or concern that there will be something really offensive. It just has not been happening in practice. And that's for both children and can be for adults too. So those are the biggest announcements right now. Oh, and we opened up our Chester County Community Foundation opened up its mini grant program pages. That's correct. We opened up the mini grant program, right? Yes. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you. So we are accepting proposals for Dare to Declare for Houses of Declaration programs right now. And it's on a rolling basis, so there's no deadline. It's not like you have 3 days to get the application in. The proposals we receive will be reviewed monthly. The grants are from $500 to $5,000, and we're hoping to, give many small grants to smaller organizations to buy, hot dogs and cupcakes and, make sure everybody's got lemonade. But there are certainly for larger events, we have some more money available. So you can find that on our website as well. So that's opened up. And then we're going to be having an additional mini grant program for other America 250 programming, but that has not opened up yet. So that should happen up by around the end of the year. But the Dare to Declare mini grants are open now. So that is I think that is all of the news that you can use from me, all the new information from the Community Foundation and bringing it back from what we've seen around the country and around the region. Now I want to let's open it up and talk about what we're all doing, what your organizations are doing. Bobby, have you had any luck with Charlestown Township?
They have declined a big tri-municipal event on the 30th, May 30th, because their supervisors had already in progress, I believe, to do an event on July 18th. I don't know what that encompasses, but they didn't want to commit to the type of event we were hoping to on the 30th. I'm still in dialogue with them to try to get a joint historic site map that we share among our municipalities to, remind people that we were all one big entity back in 1776 and encourage people to go visit, other historic places around and maybe open up one or two of their places on May 30th that we're doing that. And then I see that Mayor Peters on the call with us, and I just want to put a question out to him. If I want to make an appointment to see you, what is the best way to do that?
Hi, Bobby. I would say if you want to shoot me a text message, I'll send you my cell phone in the chat box here.
Thanks, Peter. And I just realized that I had set my Zoom settings so that I only see the participants that have cameras on, but I see there are many other people here. So welcome to all the rest of you. I don't know which of you were at the beginning when we introduced ourselves, but if maybe John and Melinda, if you could both introduce yourself. Maybe John, could you go first and introduce yourself and what organization you're from?
Sure. Good afternoon. John Ewald. I'm Borough Council President for Phoenixville Borough. I spoke with, I think, Ashley last week about joining this group and Angela last week about joining this group and first meeting. So I'm actively helping on the America 250 for my day job as well. So I'm familiar with some of the programs going on in the region and curious to see what's going on here.
Sure, and my apologies. I have to say that until it's the Phoenixville meeting every month where I'm like, darn it, I've got my settings set wrong, so I can't see all the participants. So I have made a note to myself to change that, so that does not happen again. So John, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And then Melinda, could you introduce yourself also?
Sure.
From Orion.
Hi.
Wonderful.
Hi. Melinda is with Orion Community. So I haven't been able to be participating in many of the meetings, but just wanted to hop on today and just hear what is happening. And are there transcripts set out of the meetings and some of the summaries?
Paige?
There are. All the meetings are recorded and on our YouTube and our website. I'll link it in the chat.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and we have summaries of the meetings too, which might save you time of everybody just kind of chit-chatting. All right, and then Peter, I'm sorry, I missed you at the beginning, and Tamala, hello. I'm glad we're all here. So sorry, Bobby. So Charlestown sounds like they might be participating, opening up some of their historic sites. Is one of those the mill, I hope?
Well, that's what we would hope. That's reasonably close to our borders, and I think one of the restored places that fit some criteria that has parking, and we could set up some docents there to talk about it and whatever. And then a lot of them get pretty deep and far away and don't hit the 1776 period and don't have good parking and access. So we're doing that. But we certainly hope to partner with Phoenixville to get things like the Star House open, something possibly set up out by Fountain Inn, Pat's, and whoever it's going to become now, because they have parking, they have the monument there, and we're all good. And we've identified several places in Schuylkill that we're going to do that. I have one more question that I'd like to address to Jen. In Valley Forge Park, we're kicking around the best way for signage at your historic parks. And so in the park, you have a lot of those picture tables. I'm not sure I'm trying to Google what they are, and maybe you have a better name for them, where you overlook something and it has pictures of it and a little bit of...
We have waysides that tell historical information about the park, if that's what you're talking about. Like it looks they're like 3 foot by 5 foot, and they tell you what's happening in that area of that wayside. And we also,
Is that what
it's called a wayside exhibit, yes.
Do you source those locally, or does it through some big National Park Service vendor?
No, there's actually a local person that we've been using for the last few years. So I have to look up that name.
So if you could share that, do people feel that is an effective way to represent your historic site? We've kicked around a lot of different things, whether we ought to just throw a QR code up on a pole that people can, use their smartphones to look at, whether we should put some, I'm going to call them, state parks have a lot right by their visitor center. It's kind of a
kiosk
cabinet looking thing that has glass doors that open up and like a bulletin board, papers that you can put inside. Does that have an official name?
That's a kiosk. We call them kiosk anyway. So I think they're talking two separate items here. So a kiosk, we have those in most of our parking lots and visitor, like in front by the visitor center, like trailheads. And we post rotating information on there about maybe trail closures, a trail map, things that are happening in the park. So that's more informational, whereas a wayside exhibit is something permanent on the landscape that tells you about whether it's like the historic house that you're looking at or the historic meadow that you're looking at. So they're kind of two separate things. So depending on what you're looking for, I mean, I have contacts for both of those items that I can look up, but I think I'm not sure what you're looking for.
So I agree, they're totally different, but we're trying to figure out cost effective, which might be better. We're concerned that so there are some private entities involved with this, and they may not want something permanent, and maybe just putting up something temporary like that kiosk, that we could put some rotational information and agree that that's only going to be up through 2027, because we feel that this is a very important event to continue on to 2027, and then it could be taken down.
I'll send you the link where they're very inexpensive depending on the size that you want to get, and they come in, it's recyclable materials. You can put a post in the ground, and when you're all done, you can take the post out. So I'll send you the information on that.
That would be very helpful. I appreciate
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
I did personally go to the Schuylkill Township's Historical Commission meeting last week and made a pitch to those commissioners for this idea of May 30th and doing something, if it's nothing more than Schuylkill celebrating that day, because it's just so strategic to our heritage. They're very much on board. I'm going to go to the next meeting that'll happen in November, have a more official presentation to it that I believe they will then have to take to the Schuylkill supervisors for full permission to have, and we are calling it a Dare to Declare Day. And Bob, I know you're talking about doing something at the Colonial Theater. This is May 30th, so you can't read the declaration too many times. So we're thinking of doing something that centers around the Schuylkill Township building, that we do a reading there, and then maybe downtown. Yours is at a later date if you're doing that, but we're clearly calling it a Dare to Declare Day that will have activities at the township building, and then hopefully send people out to some of the historic sites to visit. So I'm very hopeful at this moment that the Historic Commission of Schuylkill was very receptive to this. I think we'll put a proposal together and get it to the township supervisors to get it fully approved and on the calendar. So I'm hopeful.
That's awesome. That's a lot of connections there that you gotta pull together and make it work. That's great. Sue, I know you're pulling together an exhibition for next year. How's that going for you?
Okay, hi, sorry. Okay, yeah, we have not proceeded on that yet, as we have several other events coming up before the end of this year that we're working on. But we've talked about putting together something that will show an interactive map, possibly of the area. We want to have something geared towards kids to come in, and I think, Jen, we talked about that maybe last time. Were you in the meeting last time? I can't remember. We were told by somebody at the Historical Society that they have talked to people at the park who will let us use some of the kids' uniforms that the park uses.
Yeah, that would be our interpretation division. That's not me. I
Okay.
can follow up with it if I need to.
That would be awesome. Or just give me a name or something. They couldn't
Oh.
remember who they talked to, I don't think.
Yeah, I have a couple of personal contacts with the interpretation, because right now nobody's online because they're
Right.
off.
Understand. Yeah, so we're hoping that we can use some of those uniforms and have them, play dress up, something to get the kids involved. That's as far as we've gotten right now. So, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, it's I mean, you guys have your plate full, and you're an all volunteer organization too, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, kudos to you. It's a lot of board time making things happen.
It is.
Bob, now I know you got your Blob Fest in July. Is that when you are thinking of doing your Dare to Declare? When are you thinking of doing a declaration reading?
I was hoping to do it before Blobfest, which is I think July 10th. We just seem to hit a lot of craziness and how many people are going to be here. in town, but we've noticed that we get a lot of staycations. So yeah, we're looking for that first week sometime in July.
Okay.
We may wrap a 1776 screening somewhere near it. Don't know yet. It's such a long movie, but it's the most appropriate movie of them all. So we're definitely looking at that first week. Just I know that the third and the fourth are just, they're nobody's gonna come out for that. So hopefully sometime sooner, maybe even Sunday,
Yeah.
the 28th of June, because we've been talking about doing Yankee Doodle Dandy at one point. But 1776 seems more appropriate, even though Yankee Doodle Dandy is probably more fun.
Can I ask a question? Does anyone know, is Lin-Manuel Miranda going to maybe allow nonprofits or allow small theaters to run the Hamilton movie?
Disney owns that,
Mhm.
so God knows
Oh,
what they're
okay.
gonna let people do.
Never mind.
We had
Not
it,
as nice as Lynn.
yeah, we had a chance to get it briefly, but it was way too late of an announcement for us. But who knows? Maybe Disney will have a change of heart and want to put it back out there. I would rather run that, to tell you the truth. I don't think that's, I don't think there's a discount, but I don't think it's off the table of actually showing it. It's actually a fairly decent idea.
Okay. Well, we'll poke around and we'll
Mhm.
Bob, if you hear any more about that, if you could let me
I
know
will.
and I'll pass it around or let one of the other America 250 folks know about it. Awesome. Let's see who is here that I can't see that I'm looking at in the list. Melissa Dykranian, could you say hi and what are you thinking about for America 250?
Yeah, sure. Sorry I was late today, everyone. Um, I don't recall if I mentioned what I mentioned the last time, but since we've had our Zoom, I did meet with our team and we have decided that our date is going to be on July 18th, which is a Saturday. And it is going to include three properties that are adjacent to one another in Charlestown Township, Brightside Farm Park, and the Wisner Wrap House. And so seeing as Charlestown started as a string of farms, we are having a farmers and artisans market and promoting, the free market to the younger children and generations, hoping to get a lot of them involved. We are also looking at having a flag post put in and dedicating a flag that same day. And we will include trails from the Wisner Wrap House to Brightside Farm, for the children to walk back and forth. And Wisner Wrap was formerly owned by a Revolutionary vet. So that's really our historic part, since the Brightside Farm really is not of the genre, that we're actually celebrating. And so Bobby and I have also been in contact, and we've done a little bit of talking about how to highlight our other historical, resources that we do have. So that's something that's on the table for our next meeting that will be in 2 weeks, and I will know more about that. But we presented this idea to our supervisors. I think it's 2 weeks ago now, or 2.5 weeks ago, and everybody liked it, including everybody in the audience. So that looks like, what we're going to go with.
Awesome. And so you said Saturday, July 18th at Brightside Farm Park, Brightside Farm Park and Wisner Wrap House. Is that
Correct, yes.
okay? Good. I was scribbling was getting smaller.
I saw you were taking notes. I was like, wow, she's a really fast note taker.
Well, I didn't write it all down, so I had to check. That's awesome. And so that's what, and I mean, Charlestown Township, you have the Revolutionary War Cemetery, and which I think was recently restored. And then the beautiful, sorry, I keep talking about the mill. Kevin Kuhn took me through the mill last year, and I just thought it was so beautifully restored.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what we're looking at is they always have a memorial service at that cemetery. So we're looking at opening up the woolen mill the same day. And we still have construction going on the repairs on the stone wall around the cemetery, but that won't be a problem for us. So we are looking at, incorporating some more things, but we don't have anything set in stone yet.
Do you know what day the memorial service will be?
Is it May? What is
Is it
Memorial Day this year?
Memorial Day? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's awesome. That's Yeah, those are such great assets to have. I love those ideas. That's wonderful. Thank you. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or ideas for Melissa? All right, John, what are you thinking about America 250 here? I know you're in Phoenixville. We've been talking about a lot of Phoenixville stuff.
So first meeting, so I don't have a list of things to go over at the moment. I know it's being discussed in a couple of our committees, but unfortunately, I don't have a list at the moment of what's actively being considered from the council end.
Well, that's fine. We are glad that you're here. And I know that you have, like you said, from what I understand from Angela, you are both professionally and personally getting engaged in America 250.
Yes.
Mayor Peter, could you chime in and let us know, you're one of our co-conveners, so thank you so much. What do you see in Phoenixville from the big picture for America 250?
Absolutely. I think, like John said, we are still having some conversations at the borough to see, what we may as a borough do. But I know that we have talked also a little bit about using the Dogwood Parade as something that we could do to celebrate 250. We had a successful 175th anniversary with the borough last year. And so we were maybe we could possibly duplicate that again. And that through a different nonprofit. That's through the Phoenixville JCs. But that's one of our larger parades that we have here within the borough. And so that could be a good opportunity. I actually, Kim, made a note to talk to you about potentially some grant funding, but then also maybe looking for some groups that may be appropriate to add to that. So Dogwood was originally based around raising money for World War II and started in 1943. So it by itself is a fairly historic event, but it's something that we already have in place and potentially we could kind of repurpose it.
And then you and I had chatted about possibly about street banners or light post sign, banners also so there is some funding available for that sort of commemoration that would be kind of longer term on the streets too.
Absolutely. And I think I was going to get you some information around the sizes, et cetera, from our team at the borough.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. And then Tamala, our co-convener, can you say hi and just kind of your bird's eye view of America 250 in Phoenixville?
Yeah, hi everyone. Again, yeah, I think there's a lot of groups that are talking about it. We're actively involved in the Juneteenth planning committee here. We have a meeting tonight, as a matter of fact, which is so partly why it's on my mind. And I did mention that to the Juneteenth committee. So as they're starting to think about what next year's Juneteenth celebration in Phoenixville looks like, what ideas they could sort of think about how to incorporate America 250 into that celebration as well. So more to come on that, but they are talking about it.
Oh, awesome. And I know that, in recent years, there's been an emphasis on kind of the America celebration that lasts from Juneteenth to July 4, that it's become kind of a time period of celebration, not just, the one-off days. So that's great. And again, the grant funding is available for Dare to Declare events now, but we'll have some grant funding for other America 250 events of all kinds that will be opening up at the end of this year from Chester County Community Foundation.
Good reminder. I will remind them of that.
Yes, that's awesome. And does anybody have any thoughts? Are there any partners that should be here that are not here right now? Are there any organizations that you see are missing or should be at this table that I can track down or Tamala or Peter can track down? Any thoughts on who else might be missing here to talk about America 250 in the Phoenixville area? Excellent. We have 100% of the people here. So if you think of anyone, you can invite them. You can email me or Tamala or Peter and let us know, and we'll send them an invite. And that was John. John joined our illustrious group here after a conversation with Angela Scully, who's one of the other America 250 coordinators in the county. Well, we don't need to keep talking when we've all talked already. Are there any last thoughts on America 250? Anybody have any new information that we don't have here or that we should all have? Okay, well, I will keep you all posted, and you can check back on our website for more information around the watch parties. As I said, Bob will keep his ear out about Hamilton, and then we'll spread that around if we get more news on that. And then we'll all just stay in touch and, again, invite anybody who might be interested, invite them to this or send them along to me and I'll invite them. And we will all stay in touch and keep marching forward and get America 250 launched so that we can really commemorate that next year and then into 2027 too. So everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to be
I'm
here.
sorry, I have one more comment, and I apologize for that.
Oh, no apology.
And I'm involved and know several people from Forge Theater, from FaceTime Theater, and from Firebird Theater, which is a kids theater.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if there's any if there's any use for actors, or if there's any ideas of wanting to put something together on the stage, on the street, on the stage in the park, in Reeves Park. I am willing to try to bring them involved if anybody has any interest in that. Otherwise,
Well, Jen was just shaking her head vigorously.
no.
So again,
nodding.
we are kind of at a standstill at this point, again, with the park being closed and the employees being furloughed, because we're right in the middle of all this planning. So we've got emails out to a bunch of reenactment groups saying, hey, are you interested? It's July 3rd, 4th, and 5th weekend is what we are celebrating. And we'll have things going on at the visitor center, up at Muhlenberg's Brigade along Outer Line Drive. And then our main event on July 4th is going to take place at the Arch. We moved it from headquarters because there's a good possibility that headquarters will be under construction and covered in scaffolding from Hurricane Isabel, question mark? Is that the one that came through and flooded everything? Like a few years ago. I can't remember the names of them at this point. But anyway, so we finally got that work in progress to start with that. So with the we are in flux at this point because I just don't know who has gotten back to who, because the people in charge of that are furloughed and they're not allowed to check their emails. So I'm hoping, so if the government goes back to work, we may be at a scramble to try to find both volunteers and reenactors to kind of help out with that weekend. So
Okay. And
just
how
putting that
about
out
like
there.
Colonial and Peter, how about at the Reeves Park? Is there not necessarily on the 4th weekend when Jen's going to be trying to grab all the actors around, but we have lots and lots of very talented people. I don't know if anybody's interested in getting together a show of some sort.
We could definitely, we could definitely talk. Maybe it's something we did as part of the Dogwood Festival. The reason I keep pushing a lot of stuff towards that is it just, we already have kind of the infrastructure in place. The park is rented out from that Wednesday through that Saturday. So maybe that's something we could think about. I will say that when we celebrated the last large anniversary in Phoenixville, which I guess was in the 70s, 60s, 70s.
70.
There was a giant pageant that took place over days and hours, and it was like 11 acts. There is a copy of that somewhere if we'd want to recreate it.
Huh. Okay.
Wow.
The Historical Society, I think, has a copy of it was literally a pageant that went from the founding of America to present day at the time.
Wow. And we would love to have representatives from Forge Theater, FaceTime, and Firebird if they were interested in coming to one of these meetings. Don't know what their programming is next year, but they could think about America 250 and what sort of programming they might be able to plug into it. And then, have the grants available and then the promotion that's available also. So, consider inviting them to our meeting. All right. Any other last thoughts?
All right,
Well,
Jen,
ooh.
so no, you were going to get me some names or something. Do you need my email? Can I put it in the chat? How can we?
If you want to throw it in the chat and I'll pull it out, sure.
And if anybody wants to contact anybody else, let me know and I can forward
Yeah, and
emails.
Jen,
or-
I will also send you my email so that you can get me the information about the person who might be in charge of the costuming, the costumes. And
Yep.
I will I know I have to wait, but
I'll put my email also in the chat, so you guys all have it. And I just be patient. I don't work, I work whenever needed at billable hours. So I'm not always online 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of thing, but I do try to check my emails daily. So
Okay, there is Jen's email. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. You guys have a good week. Have a happy Halloween. And we will, I guess when we convene next, it will be right after Thanksgiving. Paige, what is the next, what's the next, the third, I should have looked this up before we met.
before Thanksgiving.
Maybe before Thanksgiving. It might be
Before
November
Thanksgiving?
18th.
Okay, great. Then I will see you all while we're all desperately, baking pies and turning cranberries into sauce. Until then, have a happy Halloween. Enjoy your autumns and email me if you need anything. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.